Welcome to NewsHour from the BBC World Service. I'm Lyse Doucet. Bangladesh vows to stop the tide of targeted killings, but is the government really doing all it can?
Police officers, police superintendents, other ministers have come out and said that we condemn all the killing. However, bloggers should not cross any lines.
World News from the BBC. The Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said her government will do whatever it takes to bring an end to the targeted killings of minorities and secular citizens across the country. Police say they've now made more than 3,000 arrests in a nationwide hunt for Islamic extremists. The opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party says the government is using the operation to target political opponents. However, a government spokesman based at the Bangladesh High Commission in London, Nadeem Kader, disputed this.
During a major operation, you don't take chances. You do make a lot of arrests. And then after the arrests are made, you screen them. And then you know who are these people who are actually the criminals, who are not the criminals. And there's no targeted political elements in this case. It's an operation to deal with the criminal to stop this targeted killing. That's simple as that.
BBC News.
Welcome to NewsHour from the BBC World Service. We're coming to you live from our studios in London. I'm Lyse Doucet. First, we start in Bangladesh, where Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has vowed to do whatever it takes to end the targeted killings of secular bloggers and activists, as well as minorities. Dozens of people have been brutally murdered in the last few years, many at the hands of machete-wielding individuals in their homes and on the streets in broad daylight. Police say they've now made thousands of arrests in a nationwide hunt for Islamist extremists. Hundreds of alleged criminals with previous warrants against them are also among the detained, however. And the opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party says the government is using this operation to target its political opponents. Our correspondent in Bangladesh, Akbar Hussain, gave us more details.
In the last 48 hours, the police have arrested people for their involvement with Islamist militancy. But at the same time, I should say, what police also told me that not all those 2,000, they are suspected militants. They said they have identified 37 out of 2,000 as suspected militants. And other people, they have been arrested on other general crimes.
Do you get the impression that this is based on specific intelligence about who may have been behind this brutal and very public killing of prominent bloggers and writers and activists, or they're just picking up basically everybody?
I think they are not targeting the right people, and many human rights organizations and political analysts, they are also saying the same thing, that in the last 48 hours, more than 2,000 people have been arrested. This is a mass arrest going on here in Bangladesh, and many general people. But police say they are doing this operation on the basis of a intelligence report, because in whole country, the country's security intelligence, they prepared a list of suspected militants, and now they are actually acting on that list.
Because it seems as though the people who had been killed were secular writers, bloggers. So isn't it a question of going after a specific group that they would have intelligence about, or do they actually know who these people are and how to find them?
In last 2 years, we have seen at least 50 people either hacked to death or shot dead. Police have not been able to arrest a single person. Police is just doing wild goose chase, doing what they would like to do. They are doing what they have been asked to do by the government. So this has become a political issue here in Bangladesh. Now, many analysts are saying that Islamist militants, they have taken a deep root in Bangladesh's society, because Bangladesh is passing through a very political turmoil. It is a very complex situation here in Bangladesh going on, and government is they're basically reacting, but they are not very proactive.
The fact that the government is not going after these people and what seems to be a very serious threat, is it because the security forces are unable to, these forces are stronger than them, or because they don't want to?
I think government is a bit reluctant, or government is a bit confused what to do, because when the killing spree started 2 years ago, at that time government thought that if they would act against the hardline Islamist militant groups, the government would be perceived as anti-Islamic. Bangladesh is a country of 160 million people with more than 90% Sunni majority. So government thought if they go tough on Islamist militant, then they would be perceived as anti-Islamic. So government was a bit reluctant to, go against the hardline Islamist groups. So that was created a safe path for hardline Islamist militants, and they went on their killing spree. So this is a political decision on the part of government.
And the killings show no sign of stopping. There were a few even in the last few days.
Only yesterday it was another attack. The wife of a police officer, she was shot dead in Bangladesh's port city, Chittagong. And on the same day, another Christian businessman, he was hacked to death in front of his grocery shop. Just after 2 days, another Hindu priest, he was killed in Bangladesh's western part, slaughtered to death by suspected Islamist militant. Just the day after, another Hindu attendant, he's also like a priest, he was also hacked to death in Bangladesh's northern part. 4 killings in last 7 days. So these statistics, it's saying everything what is going on here.
The BBC's Akbar Hussain in the capital, Dhaka. So what is the government's goal? I've been speaking to Nadeem Kadir. He's a government spokesperson based at the High Commission of Bangladesh here in London.
As you know, on Wednesday, our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina told a press conference in Dhaka that as the head of government, she knew she had information about the people behind these killings and the police were investigating. And at one stage, there will be an action to stop these killings. The government has made real strides in many, many sectors, including economy, health, women's empowerment. So there's so many achievements, but these killings are a dent to all this. And that is why the government is very serious to see that this is stopped. And this is the first step towards that aim.
But does the government believe it has the intelligence it needs to find those who are responsible for this wave of killing on mostly secular writers, bloggers,
Yes.
online activists? It's believed to be the work of Islamist militants.
We are all somehow affected by these killings. The whole Bangladesh society is affected. And everybody wants that there has to be an end to this. And the government has opened its doors to the American and the British government who have offered to help us. So we are very ready to take any help the Americans or the British government can give us on this front. But our police and we have our RAB, Rapid Action Battalion, very active intelligence. So we are hoping that with this operation, we will be able to stop these killings and bring it forward. Who are the people behind this? Whenever there is an arrest made, they are linked to the main opposition party and its ally, Jamaat Islami. Even the killing of the policeman's wife, the first person who was arrested is its activist, the student activist of the Jamaat Islami. And you know, this opposition has not contributed anything over the past 6-7 years to this Bangladesh in any sector except to criticize the government or to make the life difficult because they want early elections. And all these killings, the beneficiary is the opposition because sooner they can get the government into trouble, they think that there will be early elections because they stayed out of the 2014 elections and now they're at a loss.
All right, the reports that we're getting from Bangladesh is that there were some 3,000 people arrested in this sweep, but that only 37 were suspected Islamist militants. The others were criminals, opposition figures. So the impression is being created that this is simply a sweep to pick up everybody who is critical of the government or has gotten into trouble, not targeting those people responsible for the real crisis in Bangladesh.
No, government has no reason to target opposition. Government is doing very well.
But why are they picking up lots of just criminals who have nothing to do with this?
During a major operation, you don't take chances. You do make a lot of arrests. And then after the arrests are made, you screen them. And then you know who are these people who are actually the criminals, who are not the criminals. And there's no targeted political elements in this case. It's operation to deal with the criminal to stop this targeted killing. That's simple as that.
But a prominent blogger who's based in the UK, it says, and I quote, "This is a PR exercise. The government knows who the killers are, and they are part of small, highly trained cells." So in other words, not people that the police, the hundreds of the people that police picked up would not be part of those highly trained cells.
Well, I would ask this Mr. Blogger to come forward and tell us the information that he has. How does he know the government knows about the small cells? We don't know there are small cells or big cells. We know there are cells. So if he has information, we'd love to have it from him. And as far as the bloggers are concerned, the Prime Minister has repeatedly said that you should not hurt religious sentiment of others. It's your opinion, you keep it to yourself or express it in a way that does not hurt anybody. But religion is a very sensitive thing, and in Bangladesh we have a conservative Muslim society, and it's a secular country, but everyone with equal rights, but we all respect each other's faith. And that is what the principle is for the government and for the general people in Bangladesh who have no support for the bloggers in many ways because they hurt somebody and then issues happen. We do condemn the killings of bloggers, and one case has been solved and other killings of the bloggers are investigation and trial processes are underway.
So are you saying that in effect the secular bloggers and outspoken writers and activists are to blame for this because they're
I'm not saying
open?
it's not. You have to be careful in what you express because even as a journalist, when you and I speak something, when we write something, our one word can mean something different, which can be very damaging.
Nadeem Kadir of the High Commission of Bangladesh. Well, the blogger I mentioned in that interview is Arif Rahman. He's based in London and joined me in the studio just before we came on air. What exactly did he mean by small, highly trained cells?
The people that you mentioned to Mr. Kadir is a group of individuals who comes quite quickly, makes the attack and kills the subject and then leaves immediately. And we have heard about a motorcycle and 3 individuals. It has been kind of a signature thing. So that's why I'm saying it's a, set of individuals. It's a highly trained people because they know where to find the people and they know their trend. That means advanced recce, and then it's a professional killing. So government, I'm sure they know who they are, but because over the last year or so, we have heard statements from different police officers saying that we know who they are and we are observing them. Yet we see occasionally the same people saying these guys have fled the country or, different disconnecting statements made by different individuals regularly. So it's difficult to actually make any sense of this.
But Sheikh Hasina has said she's going to do what it takes to crack down on this threat. Is that what she's doing now?
I don't know what she means by she's going to do everything that is possible because she said that on Wednesday and on Thursday or Friday there has been another murder of an individual, where an ashram assistant, a Hindu person was killed. And I'm sure this guy has never said anything against Islam or he's just living his life. Yet he was killed because he's of a different religion. And ISIS has already claimed the killing. So Sheikh Hasina's intentions are changing every month or so because on 14th of April, she explicitly said about the bloggers that if somebody is killed because of their writing, it's not government's responsibility to protect them. And she explicitly said that, and there are evidence of it everywhere. There has been a huge outcry about her statements. And this is not just the first time. Over the last year or so, she herself, police officers, police superintendents, other ministers have come out and said that we condemn all the killing. However, bloggers should not cross any lines. What that actually tells the killers that, yes, if anybody crosses the line, it's okay for you to kind of go ahead and take things in your own hands.
Do you think it's because they don't have the intelligence or the capacity to actually round up the people who are responsible, or they don't want to do it?
I think it's a mix of both. For example, a few weeks ago, the wife of a police officer was murdered. This particular police officer was very active against capturing religious extremists. And somebody tried to give them a message. If you are too active, these things could happen to you. And I think this particular action that Sheikh Hasina is taking is to kind of keep the morale up of the police force. I don't think Bangladesh police currently has the necessary technological or training power to actually capture these people.
But the spokesman at the embassy said to us that it was just a question of time. They needed to do their investigations and that they would go after the killers, but they needed time.
The first killing took place back in 2013, February. So it's all been almost 3 years, right? And in these 3 years, how long do you really need to investigate and to crack down a network after so many killings?
And that's the Bangladeshi blogger Arif Rahman speaking about the government's new crackdown